On today's episode of Path Monk Presents, I've got a very special guest with me joining today. Please welcome Bryn Tindall, who is the CEO and owner of Rebel Interactive Group. Bryn, thank you so much for joining us today. It's an honor to have you on our show.
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate yours. So for all of our listeners out there, tell us, what does Rebel Interactive Group overall?
Yeah, so Rebel is a digital marketing agency. Like a lot of companies that look like us, a lot of things that, we are very much paying attention to AI and its adoption, machine learning and so forth. It's starting to alter the way campaigns are created. It's starting to alter the way content, almost everything we do is created. And so we're an evolving digital marketing agency.
Amazing. So then, as for your clients, what industry do they typically come from? Or would you say that your agency is industry agnostic and you serve all types of clients?
Yeah, for the most part agnostic, but definitely concentrations. One would be higher ed, one would be sort of manufacturing, another would be aerospace. So there's certain verticals where we have a large concentration of customers in. But in general, we're about a blend of about 60-40 B2B over D2C.
Awesome. Wow. So you guys have a wide range of clients and like different industries as well, or concentrations, which is amazing. So in terms of your clients, how do they typically find you then? What would you say is your top client acquisition channel? Would you say it's more within word of mouth, referrals, or is it a mix of a lot of things?
Yeah, short answer, a lot of things, but most of it is inbound these days, right? We obviously are in the business of creating content, thought leadership for our customers, and we do a lot of the same stuff for ourselves. So think podcasts and webinars and physical seminars and press releases and just video, increasingly most video-based content that's being pushed out into the marketplace to create a certain perception of the brand and who we are and what we do. And so the result is a lot of people sit back out there, as these days, and are sort of consuming content at their pace. And when they're ready, they begin an outreach, is how it works. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So now that we've covered on the topic of how your clients find you, let's switch gears and we're going to talk about the website. So what would you say are the major strengths of the Rebel Interactive Group website? And then what are there opportunities for room for improvement?
Yeah, so Rebel, is about to cross its 10th year anniversary, and so it for the most part has played off of that we really lean into the persona around the word rebel, and what it means to be sort of scrappy and innovative and all that kind of good stuff, and that message resonates with a lot of people. But as we continue to evolve and the types of customers continue to evolve, there is a maturation, I would say, of the brand that's beginning, right? And I liken it very similar if you think about the Apple brand and go all the way back to that commercial, the sledgehammer hitting the screen, and then think about the experience you have when you walk into an Apple store today. You don't think of Apple as sort of maverick, innovative. You think of it as sage and smart and classical and elegant and sophisticated. And even though it has its roots in innovation and being a rebel. Make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. And I can definitely see that as well. Like when I looked at the website, I saw, a good amount of your case studies. And one of them that I really love was the alchemy peppers, the way that you have translated the brand. And, I could see the elegance and the way, the storytelling as well. It looks really great what you guys are doing in store with your clients.
Thank you.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
Absolutely. So now we're going to switch gears. I want to talk about you as a leader. So with being the CEO and the co-founder, what do you do on a daily basis? What does an average day entail for you?
Well, I don't know if there's an average day. Anybody who's ever sat in this seat could tell you that, right? So I'm heavily scheduled, like probably a lot of people that look like me, right? But then the day starts, right? And priorities begin to shift, and you have to constantly be refocusing the energy to I view it as sort of the highest value. Where do I have to put my time that's the highest value? And I try to work that way with the teams and so forth. So keep moving functions downward. Once we sort of been able to figure them out, keep moving the things, keep working on the things of the highest value, the highest priority, and just keep working through the list, right? At the end of the day, there really is no end to that list of things to do. So at some point you have to shut off, right? Just know that, when you turn it back on, it's still sitting there. right? And so it just keeps building. You just keep working through it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think too, like, especially with, the advice of, focusing on the things that are adding value and then bringing everything downward as well to where you're more organized on top of things. And it makes it easier as well to manage the overall like goals and the OKRs overall.
Yep, absolutely.
Definitely. So now we're getting close to the end of our interview and I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
I guess let's do it.
All right. Awesome. So what is the last book that you read?
I'm reading right now. I'm reading Infinity Born. It's a book about a potential future of AI. I don't know if you've heard about it or not. I'm paying a lot of attention to AI, like a lot of people are right now. As I said a few minutes ago, there's a revolution or evolution in the midst within a lot of industries, and so sometimes those types of things can help you sort of just think through a potential future.
Yeah, definitely. And especially too, as you were saying, like AI, like it's a hot topic that's not going to go away. It's like continue to evolving and it's important to have these conversations as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what is the one piece of advice that you could give yourself, but also, to our listeners today, if you were able to go back and restart your career? Is there anything that you would have done differently?
It's funny. I started my first business, back in 1997, and I moved from down into Tampa, Florida, and decided I was ready, and didn't know anybody, and decided to just set out and build an agency and just started hustling, right? And I think back upon that move sometimes, the more you know about certain situations, the less likely sometimes you're willing to just jump, right? Because a more rational me would have sat back and thought about you're crazy to go do something like that, right? So if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're constantly balancing that between the need to take risk, because you will not move forward without taking a risk, and calculating against the sort of the risk reward. So it's interesting sometimes that being more naive about some of those things can actually work to your credit. Sometimes they also can burn you, but you have to be careful. So
Yeah, no, definitely. But I like how you emphasize, taking calculated risks, because I think that's one thing that not only marketers, but everyone, should like do within like their careers as well. To be able
yeah,
to.
I was just going to add to that too. The world is moving really fast. Technology is moving really fast, and if you don't think for a minute that what you have built cannot be undone rapidly by competition, and it's the pace of it is accelerating. So the need to, I think, always think scrappy, always think entrepreneurial, always think, sort of always on your toes, even in sort of good times, I think is really paramount.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. So we're at the end of our interview today. And I want to thank you so much for joining us on Pathmark Presents. But I also want to give you the last word. If anyone were to forget about everything that we've talked about in this interview today, what is the one thing you want them to remember about Rebel Interactive Group overall?
So, there's 1,000 digital agencies out there, actually millions, right? Probably. What Rebel does, I think, very well is we're very sort of a business strategy organization first, marketing strategy. So we're very much about what are we doing, why are we doing it, and the ability to measure it, tied to KPIs and so forth. Before we actually start building and executing campaigns. And we're very entrepreneurial focused, so that means we can pivot and execute quickly. So I think some of those things are a bit different than in some organizations.
Yeah, definitely. And you can see it too with the way you guys articulate your message on the website and how you stand, especially with the brands that you worked with too. So it definitely shows. Yeah. All right. Bryn, thank you again so much. It was our pleasure.
Maria, thank you for your time. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. And for all
Bye.
the listeners out there, check us out next week on Pathmark Presents.